Alexander Stewart asked you about nurseries, and you decided to apply relief to privately run nurseries, which make profits. But you haven't taken that approach with nurseries in the independent school sector, which don't make profits. That seems inconsistent to me. Can you explain that?
We've yet to conclude the necessary legislation that would achieve that. We clearly are supporting nurseries, and each nursery will be judged, because it will be through application essentially, because it's a relief, will be judged on its merits. And within that, there's obviously the complexity of what's a dedicated nursery, what's a dedicated independent nursery, and the eligibility around that, as I say, will come through in the legislation that we'll consult on. So I don't know why there's a view that we're not proposing the right balance in terms of state nurseries and private nurseries. And if there's a nursery attached to an independent mainstream school, it'll all be how it's defined as part of the structure of that organisation. So I don't think it should generalise. I don't know if Douglas McLaren would want to say anything further on that.
Yeah, I mean, as the Cabinet Secretary says, the detail come out in the legislation. We're not trying to be exclusive here, but we have to deal with rates. Can be a bit of a blunt instrument. We look at a property that's on the valuation roll. So if that property is a nursery or wholly or mainly a nursery, then we'll try and give it the relief. If it's predominantly a school campus with a nursery, on a smaller part of the campus, then it's difficult to look at that property and say it's a nursery. So, like I say, we'll try to contend with that in the legislation.
So that, as I described, inconsistency might be sorted out in this legislation.
I'm just trying to be clear that, first of all, the policy intention is clear. It's 100% relief for nurseries, subject to state aid, in the public and the private sector. The definition of each will be determined by those allocating the relief, complying with that legislation. So the intention is clear. The detail will be based on consultation. But beyond that, the eligibility will be based on compliance with the criteria. So it's not, you can't generalise. It will be down to, as Douglas McLaren's tried to clarify, is it a bona fide nursery with that dedicated use within those criteria, or is it separate? Because essentially, of course, non-domestic rates is a property tax, which property is judged on its characteristics.